let's get to my picks for tomorrow, college football. Super excited about this. We've got some good games. Right now I am 3 of 6 on my big bets because I went 3 for 3 last night. So that's great. And then my total bets as far as the pick 'em is 15, 20, and 1. So I'm still in the loss column, but last night did help a little bit. At least it was 14, 20. So that's 15, 20. But tomorrow and Sunday is a new day, 2 new days. And I'm hoping to get back in the green. So let's see what we can do here. So starting with West Virginia, going to BYU. I'm going to take BYU minus the 18.5. I really hate this line. I really do, but I'm just not convinced that West Virginia is really that great of a team. They haven't had a great showing the last couple times, really, that I've seen, and BYU seems to have a pretty stout defense. I think they're a good team. If this was 16.5, I'd be all over it with BYU, but the 18.5 does kind of scare me, so we'll see. This could go either way. I'm not holding my breath on this one. Illinois at Purdue. I'm going to take Illinois minus the 9.5. I know Illinois had that stinker against Indiana. I get that, but they responded by coming back and beating a really good USC team. Now they go into Purdue. I think that they're going to have a little bit more confidence this year, and I think that it's going to end up being a 10-point game, so that half a point's really important there. But yeah, I'm going to go with Illinois. I'm going to believe in them. I've been burned before, so we'll see again. I took Illinois against Indiana like minus or plus 6.5. Yeah, that was a bad one. All right, Kentucky going into Georgia. I'm going to take Kentucky plus 20.5. I think there's a lot of recency bias with this line. I think Georgia is a good team still, but I think a lot of people are probably just thinking, oh, Georgia, they're a powerhouse. They go every year. They're always in the playoffs. They're always, always, always. But I think that people don't understand the team's not as good this year as it's been in past years by far. Kentucky is also one of those sneaky SEC teams that always plays everybody pretty decently tough. They don't get a lot of wins because, no, they're not as good as the Georgias and the Alabamas and, a lot of the time the Floridas, not this year, but, that kind of stuff. But they're still a solid team. And I think that's why that line is so big. I'm taking the 20.5 points. Absolutely. I hope it's not a 21-point game, but we'll see. Iowa State going into Cincinnati. I'm actually getting a 1.5 with Iowa State, so I'm going to take it. I know they have some injuries. I know it's not looking great, but this is still a really good team that has had some really good games. And the fact that they are an underdog as a ranked team and ranked, I think, like 13th or something, really, that mid-tier, I just have to take that. And if they lose, they lose. But I can't rightfully take Cincinnati. I know Cincinnati's got a good squad this year, but no, I'm going to ride with Iowa State. I think that 1.5 is a big deal. Wisconsin going into Michigan. I do like Michigan this year. I think they're a tough team. I think they're going to get better, but 17.5, again, I'm just going to take. Michigan plays everybody really close. They're still not completely buttoned up from what I've seen. I do think this will be a 14-point game or a 13-point game, but I just think 17.5. Wisconsin's not that bad, I don't think. And so I think it's going to be relatively closer than that line says. And so I'm going to take the 17.5. Vanderbilt, Alabama. Now, I've actually talked to a couple people who think Vanderbilt has a chance to win. And maybe they do, maybe they don't. I don't know. But the line's 10.5 points, and I'm going to take those 10.5 points. Alabama obviously started out rough. They had to kind of get going, but once they found their rhythm, now they've been a lot better. I just don't see it being a blowout, though. I know it's in Alabama, which kind of makes me a little nervous, but I'm going to trust Vanderbilt. I trusted them last week, and they did good for me. I'm going to go ahead and trust them again this week, and we'll see how it goes. Texas going into Florida. Texas minus 4.5. I'm sorry. This is another, I said the last time Texas played, they played Sam Houston, I believe. And I made a comment about how if they don't blow this team out, I'll be out on Arch Manning. And they did. They blew the team out. They did. But Sam Houston is just so terrible. They're 0-5 at this point. They've been blown out in every single game. For me, this should be a 10 to 15-point line. Florida does not look good. They have not played good. They have not, their offense is just molasses. They don't seem to move the ball well. Texas, if Texas is as good as everyone still thinks they are, ranked in the single digits, I don't see why this shouldn't be a blowout alert. I mean, seriously, I don't understand it all. And I'm a Florida guy. I really am. I would love for Florida to win this game. I really would, but that just seems like a really low line. I hope it's a tough game. I hope it's a great game, but Texas should win this by a couple touchdowns. At least that's how I feel. Boise State going into Notre Dame, excuse me. Got Disney on the mind, I guess. When it comes to Notre Dame, you guys know I love Notre Dame. They're a great team. But Boise State's not bad either. Boise State had that first game against USF where they really struggled, but since then they have been blowing teams out. They've been playing really tough. And frankly, 20.5 points is a lot. I know they're going on the road, but this feels like one of those backdoor covers where, yeah, they score 7 with 2 minutes left in the fourth. The other team kneels the ball out, and then it ends up being a 14-point game or a 17-point game. So I'm going to take the points. Virginia going into Louisville, and Louisville is -6.5. I'm taking Louisville. I know that Virginia is ranked, but only barely. A lot of people think that Louisville should be ranked higher than them. It's kind of one of those just things where the AP decided what they decided. It is what it is. But for me, Louisville being at home, as good as they've played, I'm taking that. I think it's going to be a touchdown game, and I think Louisville's going to come out on top. Penn State, which you guys know I love Penn State. I had them very high in my top 10. If you didn't see that, very, very high, even though they lost last week because I think that was an all-time classic with Oregon. But I'm actually taking Penn State minus the 24.5 going into UCLA. UCLA is just such a dumpster fire. And I'm sorry to be so blunt about it, but they look terrible. They haven't won a game yet. Every game they're getting blown out. They just look awful. Everyone's talking about it. For now, until UCLA proves me otherwise, I'm not putting any money on them. I'm just not. I'm sorry. Penn State, I'll put money on. I trust Penn State. I don't trust UCLA for nothing as far as I can throw them. I'm sorry. Next up, we have Kent State plus 45.5 over Oklahoma. I'm taking Kent State in the points. This just goes back to my creed, which is I can't give up that many points. I've said it before on previous, but 45 points I have to take. If I lose, I lose. That's fine. I'll take it on the chin, but I'm not giving up that many points. That's just insane. Texas Tech going into Houston. I'm taking Houston plus the 11.5. Now, Texas Tech is a really darn good team. They've played lights out. They have one of the most high, exciting offenses that I've seen in college football this year. But when it comes to Houston, Houston's no slouch either. Houston's played some really tough games. They've blown some teams out. They've played some really good teams tough. I think the 11.5 is just too much, especially considering they're at home. I'm going to take those points. Mississippi State going into Texas A&M. Texas A&M minus 14.5. I hate that line. If it was 13.5, I would be all over it. I would be pounding. It'd be my bet of the week. But unfortunately, at 14.5, I'm still going to take it. I'm going to trust Texas A&M. They're at home. They've played some really darn good football this year. And Mississippi State, I'm still kind of about. I still don't know exactly how good they are. So maybe we'll find out tomorrow. Minnesota going into Ohio State. I know Minnesota's having a really good year, but Ohio State is in the shoe. If Ohio State's as good as everyone seems to claim they are, they should be able to cover the 23.5, and that's why I'm going to take them. But we'll see. I haven't been super impressed with Ohio State this year. I know I'm wearing the jersey, but I've not been super impressed with them. But I've seen a lot of publications and YouTube channels and podcasters. They're just like. I think Joe Klatt actually said that, and I'm going to try to quote him the best I can. He said that Ohio State was so better than everyone else that it was kind of like how Usain Bolt was a runner and it looked like he was running slow, but really he was just so much better. It just looked like he was jogging, even though he was running fast. He compared Ohio State to kind of being like that. I just don't see that yet. And so tomorrow should be a good. I'm going to trust Joel Klatt. I'm going to trust that. I'm going to take the points and we'll see. Or I'm going to lay the points. Excuse me. All right. Last game, a really good one. Miami going into Florida State. I'm surprised the line is so low, but I am going to take Florida State plus the 4.5. Florida State's at home. They just came off an embarrassing loss last week. They play really tough. I know they're going to be PO'd. I know they're going to be upset. I think they're going to play really, really tough. I think the fans are going to show out because this season actually looks like it could be really good for Florida State. And because of that, I think Miami might stumble and have its first loss of the season. And if not, they might win by 3. So I'm going to take those 4.5 points. Those are my picks. Love to hear what you think. Thanks for being here. We'll see how they go. I will see you guys tomorrow for my NFL picks. And also maybe we'll also do either Sunday or Monday results as far as how these picks went. So we'll see. Guys, I will see you soon. Moody Talk Sports. Have a wonderful weekend. God bless you all. And enjoy some football. Enjoy some football. Enjoy some friends. Enjoy some family. Have a great weekend. I'll see you guys soon.